Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. Great to have you with me here today on the first of two Cabral HouseCalls. We are answering our community's questions that have come in from the past couple of months. Hopefully, we have some great ones today. I have no doubt that we will. Each and every weekend, we have new questions come in from people literally all over the world who share the same common goal, and that is to improve their life or to improve the lives of their loved ones. So we have so many great questions. Honestly, it's a great privilege of mine to see people write in and to really be looking for help as to where to start, what lab to run, what might this specific symptom mean. And that's what it's all about. You know, it's really all about me taking what I've accumulated from all of my great mentors, from all the books that I've read, from my schooling, from the travel that I've done, and just trying to pay it forward, just trying to share it with others. I've got the results that I want in life, meaning like I got what I was looking to achieve, which is my health, to get my energy back, to get my mental clarity back, and to get my happiness back. That's really what it was all about. And I did that, and I couldn't be happier, right? There's nothing else that I really want in life now, because I got back the main thing that I wanted. Everything else is a bonus. I would not be able to do this podcast today and a show every single day, run multiple different health-based companies, see people all over the world through Skype. I wouldn't be able to do any of that, not even a fraction of it, had I still been suffering from type 2 diabetes, Addison's, rheumatoid arthritis, myalgic encephalomyelitis, and a host of other things, right? Just wouldn't have happened. So yeah, it's a great privilege, and without further ado, let's dive into our questions. All right, the first one is from Bree. Let's check it out. Okay. Hi, Dr. Cabral. First of all, thank you for this podcast. I truly see it as an encyclopedia of natural medicine. I found so much great information by searching the archives, but have a question that I couldn't find an answer to. I wake up around 4 a.m. every night and find it very difficult to go back to sleep. It's very frustrating, and I don't feel rested in the morning. Do you know what it might be the reason this is happening? I go to bed around 9:30, 10, and have no trouble falling asleep. I have a healthy vegan diet, don't smoke pot and drink, and work out in the morning 5 times a week. Any help would be much appreciated. Thank you. All right, this is a great question, Bree. Thank you for writing in. So if you go to bed at 9:30, 10, let's just say 10 for easy math, you get 6 hours of sleep. Okay, so if you were to say that you went to bed at, let's say 9, and you woke up at 4, I would say, well, maybe your body's good. Maybe your body's good with 7 hours. But that's not the case, because nobody's body's really good with 6 hours. Now, there are people who need less sleep than others, no doubt about it. But 6 hours is not that number. They can get away with it, but it doesn't mean that it's as healthy, because remember, you're going to be more catabolic. The less you sleep, less time there is for repair. There's no denying that. Like, your body shifts into the parasympathetic. Now, that's what should happen. So, Bree, here's what I think is happening. One, I think you're getting a drop in blood sugar around that time. Or I think you're getting a great spike in thyroid or cortisol around that time. Or, cortisol, it starts to rise around 4 a.m. So here's how we can test it. We can look at a couple different things. So one, I could just have you take your blood sugar with the glucometer first thing in the morning. Is it too low? Like, is it in the 60s or below? Or is it too high? Did you now show a spike over 100? Either one of those could mean hypoglycemia, you dropped in low blood sugar, or cortisol had already spiked, and then you got the you got that waking cortisol response and blood glucose went up. If you do it fast enough, I think you'll find you wake up because of the low blood sugar, all right? That can happen with diabetics as well. I'm not saying you're diabetic, but it happens with type 1 diabetics. They can really wake up in a cold sweat with very, very low blood sugar if they didn't use the right amount of insulin or too much insulin or their diet was different that day. So, okay, that's one. The second thing you could do is run your cortisol levels first thing in the morning. You could run an adrenal hormone test or thyroid adrenal hormone and simply do your first sample right when you wake up. And that would show you if you have high cortisol. So you can check that out. Okay, but how could you work this without doing any testing if you didn't want to? Well, simply put, before bed, you could do Adrenal Soothe 2. You could do, in addition to the deep sleep protocol. That's what I would do. And then see if that allows you to sleep longer, because you'll be giving yourself a little bit more calming herbs and a little bit more liquid melatonin, non-groggy form. And you'll be using some of the precursors to certain neurotransmitters such as serotonin. Okay, that's where we get started. Again, I'm not giving any medical advice. I'm not treating disease. I'm not curing disease. Not treating, not curing, and not diagnosing disease. Yep, those are them. So I'm offering you health information and suggestions that I might do myself. And if you're interested in following them or looking into them, you could explore them further. Ashley's up next. Hello, I found my way to this website and hoping to find relief from my allergies. I'm not sure if this is the right place for that. My issues are severe enough to see an allergist, but I'm still in a lot of pain that is keeping me from work and day-to-day activities. Please let me know if I'm reaching out at the right place. Thank you, Ashley. Ashley, the best place to reach out is cabralsupportgroup.com, but I'm happy to get you started. There are multiple podcasts on allergies. So if we were just to go to stevencabral.com/podcast, where all the podcasts are housed, you could type in allergy or allergies. And you would see that we have an allergy protocol over at equilibriumnutrition.com. And you'd also see that it's my belief, and I'm not the only one, that a lot of allergies have to do with gut-based issues. So what happens is there's a lot of leaky gut or gut-based permeability. And because of that, it triggers the immune system. At first, it starts with just more inflammation, and eventually over time, it can actually become a chronic Th2 imbalance of chronic inflammation and allergies and sensitivities. So what I would do is, I personally, if I were you, I'd run an organic acids test. That would be number one. And then after that, I would run a hair tissue mineral analysis. That's called our starter kit. Best place to start with lab tests if you're ever in doubt, okay? No doubt about it, that's the best place to start. After that, you could certainly do a adrenal hormone test to look to see if you have low cortisol, which would not be good if you had allergies as well. Check out at least episode 434, and then check out our allergy protocol at stevencabral.com, actually at equilibriumnutrition.com, and you'll find that. All right, thank you for writing in. Aless is up next. L-A-L-E-S, Aless, or maybe Elise. Hello, Dr. Cabral. I have a question regarding calcium. You've been talking about high calcium content of almond milk. Isn't the majority of it calcium carbonate added to the almond milk, not naturally occurring calcium from almonds? Isn't calcium carbonate an unnatural form of calcium that you have been discouraging people from? I'm absolutely discouraging people from taking in a lot of calcium. Absolutely. Yes. Actually, if I made the point, thank you for bringing it up. I appreciate that. It was simply because people are trying to say they drink milk, cow's milk, because of the calcium, when it's never been shown, especially like beyond like 4 years old, that you're going to be building a lot of bone by taking in a lot of dairy. If anything, we have a lot of adult studies showing that the more dairy people took in, the weaker the bones. So important to look at that. Would I take in my calcium from calcium carbonate? I absolutely would not. I would take my calcium always mixed with magnesium, always. And so that's because it doesn't end up in the arteries that way. Vitamin K and vitamin D are also nice to take it with. We have all of those in the daily nutritional support shake. And when you take our calcium, we don't even sell straight calcium on its own. We wouldn't do that. We have a product called CalMag, which is calcium magnesium together. So Aless, thank you for bringing that up. And I just hope that people, again, not drinking milk for their calcium. I think I was maybe just showing a point that there's actually more calcium, even if added, to almond milk. So hopefully that helps. John's up next. Hi, Stephen. This is John. I live in the Seaport in Boston, Mass. I've been struggling with Candida overgrowth. I've tried over and over to heal the issues, but always gets better, and then goes back to the original symptoms. What would be helpful is if you could put together a protocol for me to follow that you think would do the trick. I listen to podcast 515 and some others, but it doesn't explain the exact protocol with supplements. I purchased some antifungals, an HCl with pepsin probiotic chlorophyll. It would be greatly appreciated if you could help. So, John, thank you for writing in, and I'm definitely not coming down on you. Definitely not. If people want the protocol that works, we have it right there on the website called the Candida and Bacterial Overgrowth Protocol. people try to put together their own protocols that may or may not work. I show before and afters on clinical lab tests that our Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol that took me 15 years to put together, trial and error, research, using it on myself who had massive SIBO, H. pylori, and Candida overgrowth. So it's there. It is there for everyone to take advantage of. We sell that protocol at essentially cost. That is because we know that it works. So if you want to get rid of the Candida, get rid of the bacterial overgrowth, but make sure it also doesn't come back, we teach you how to do that as well. We teach you then how to repopulate, how to introduce the foods. It's not just supplements, it's a full protocol. And then we teach you how to seal up the gut wall. So John, I don't want to come down on a fellow Bostonian, and I know that you're new to the Cabral concept, and obviously there's many podcasts. But I'll tell you this, there is only one. There's only one that I know of, and that's the Candida bacterial overgrowth protocol that I can show you, and we do before and after labs. I mean, this is real data from a real practice. I mean, I love oregano oil like the next person. Fantastic. Would I use probiotics? No. And you'll learn why during month 1. Yes, we use probiotics, but not in month 1. And so in the fluorofilm, yes, we do use that, but it's a whole protocol. It uses biofilm disruptors. It uses then the herbals, and then it uses repopulators in a very specific format. And nobody that I know is doing that 8 years ago when I started taking out the probiotics and getting better results and then adding them back in as we removed that phase 1. And then I went small intestinal first. Then I went large intestine. And now you see a lot of other people doing it. But remember, there's only one that I know of that's backed up by thousands of labs. So sorry for the rant there, but I had to say it. All right, Mateo's up next. Greetings. I'm writing to you because I'm suffering from a lot of symptoms all over my body, and I recently got my organic acids test with a positive Candida. The thing is that my doctor didn't explain it very well with the exam. I want to have more clearness on the subject. I'm writing from Colombia, so I want to know if there's any possibility of doing an online appointment with you and how much it would cost. Thank you for the attention, Mateo. Mateo, thank you so much for writing in, and of course, we'd be happy to help. We don't turn people away. Our goal is to help as many people as possible. So here's the thing. You're from Colombia, so you're off the hook. I want to do one more rant. All right, 2 rants today I'm going to talk about. I'm going to write down 2 rants as the topic, if I can remember, for this headline for the show, because this is a rant-based show. People try to get the labs instead of at equilibriumnutrition.com for a cheaper price somewhere, or they try to get it from their practitioner. The problem isn't the lab. The lab just gives you the numbers, which is great if they tell you the right way to take it. But what really matters is the interpretation of it. So is your doctor, because they don't teach this in college, meaning they don't teach this in grad school. Like, they're not going to teach it to you. You have to do your postdoctoral certification and study on this. A lot of the new naturopathic doctoral schools are beginning to teach it, which is great, but there's no other school that I know of. I learned this through the Institute of Functional Medicine, and of course, I'm teaching it right now, and the Integrative Health Practitioner certification. And so here's the thing. It's great to get the lab, but you need the plan, the interpretation, and then it being customized for you. So yes, we will absolutely help you, Mateo, but we have a lot of people write in and just say, hey, can you read this lab now for me? Well, it doesn't work that way. Remember, yes, we can do that for you, but you get a better deal just by doing it as one package at equilibriumnutrition.com. Again, you don't need to purchase from there. If you have a qualified practitioner, like our integrative health practitioners, do it with them. Or if you do have a phenomenal, functional medicine doctor, naturopathic doctor locally, great, use them. But what I'm saying is, unless your doctor specializes in functional medicine lab testing, they're going to have no idea what the results mean. They're just going to look for highs and lows like they would on a blood report. But that's not how you read functional medicine labs. All right, second rant is now over. Hopefully that's the last one. I don't really have anything else I think I could rant on. But we'll see, unless somebody asks me about the carnivore diet, and then we might have a third rant. Tracy's up next. Hi, I asked a question about fruit in the support group, but would love to hear an even more in-depth answer from you. After having listened to many of your podcasts, I'm still unsure about when it's best to include fruit in my diet. Obviously, it is perfect in the morning smoothie. However, not all types of fruit go well in a smoothie, I find. I know that I should eat fruit away from meals, but at the same time, I don't want to snack between my 3 meals a day. At first, I thought fruit would be a good afternoon snack. However, I recently heard a podcast where you said a juice or smoothie if you snack in the afternoon, as it is better to have liquid between meals as easier digestion. I find I'm eating less fruit in order to have to adhere to all of the above rules, but would like to change this. Would it be best to eat some fruit approximately 1 hour before lunch or dinner, or do you have other recommendations? Many thanks. All right. Great question, Tracy. Thank you for writing in. This came in on February 5th. February 5th. So here's the answer. Your fruit in the smoothie is great. And believe me, I love food combining, taught it. I'm into it. It's important for some people more than others, especially those with weak digestion. The thing about a smoothie is that you are blending everything and incinerating it and doing the digestive work in your stomach pretty much for your stomach. So we don't have to worry about the different enzymes as much. We don't have to worry about the timing of meals, what's going to be digested through. It's all liquid. And liquid moves through that gastric valve at about 5 mLs every couple minutes. So I don't think that we need to worry as much in the smoothie. I've never found it to be an issue. I really haven't. However, if someone's having an issue, then I absolutely don't recommend that. What could you do? Well, you can actually do this. Pick the fruit that you want in the morning. Let's say that you wanted to eat an apple in the morning. Fantastic. Or a bowl of berries. Fantastic. You could do the berries. We call it a deconstructed smoothie. When I'm traveling and I don't have a blender, I bring my daily nutritional support powder. I have my shaker bottle. And then what I do is I always go to a Whole Foods, a Sprouts, an Erewhon, any place I can find when I'm traveling that has good, healthy food. I get my fruit there when I land. I go to the Whole Foods, and then I bring it back to my room. And then when I wake up, I eat the fruit, and then I shake up my shaker bottle with the water and the powder, and I'm off and running. And sometimes I'll have oatmeal, right? Isn't like my perfect smoothie breakfast? No. But I do the best with what I have, and that's great. So it's a deconstructed smoothie. So you could do that for your timing as well. Now, you bring up a valid point of when before meals. Yeah, so I mentioned this before. If I don't do a mid-afternoon snack and I get home and dinner won't be maybe for a half hour to an hour, I'll actually have a piece of fruit a lot of times. Like I'll have some berries, or I might split an apple with one of my daughters. So that's what I'll do. So that's easy. I get 2 cups in the morning. You might just do 1 cup. And the other time is mid-afternoon. Nothing wrong with a mid-afternoon snack if you're not someone that's worried about blood sugar or weight gain. Again, I do recommend 3 meals per day. But let's just say you did some exercise, or dinner is like 8 hours away from your lunch or 7 hours away. Well, 3.5, 4 hours after your lunch, you can absolutely do a pressed juice, not fruit juice, but veggie juice. You could do a smoothie. You could do some fruit, and that would be fine. So you have plenty of opportunities. The amount of fruit that you should have per day really depends on the person and the protocol that they are on. Great question though, Tracy. And yes, don't eat your fruit with the meal or after your meal. It should be before a whole food meal. Fruit gets digested in about 20 to 30 minutes. I hope that you tune into my podcast on that, and I go through. You can just probably type in food combining at stephencabral.com/podcast and find that. Or just go to cabralsupportgroup.com and ask the group which podcast that was. Today's podcast, let's make a little note of that, is go to stephencabral.com/1177. Go to that for today's links, show notes, and all of the questions. Okay, let's get in one more question. Today's last question is from Audrey. Audrey writes in, "Hello, Dr. Cabral. I'm a 30-year-old woman who works out every day early in the morning. Is fasted cardio important to keep the fat off? And does carb cycling work for body fat? If so, how often should it be done? And how many grams of carbs should I be taking on high carb days?" All right, 3 questions. Is fasted cardio important to keep the fat off? Well, I did a podcast on this. So again, as always, you can just go to stephencabral.com/podcast, and then you can just type in fasted cardio, and let's see if it comes up, and you'll get my answer then on that. Okay, Audrey, it is on episode 680. So check out fasted cardio on 680, and also it was mentioned on 674. So I would go to 674 first because it looks like it was posted twice. But essentially, fasted cardio at a low heart rate can be great, meaning like you won't push yourself into that sympathetic nervous system. So yeah, still does work great. Many people do use it. Is it possible to get lean without fasted cardio? Absolutely. You don't have to do it. I don't do fasted cardio, but some people like to and some people do. And there is benefit to doing cardio at a low blood sugar based state. Low normal, of course, we're talking about. Your second question, does carb cycling work for burning body fat? Well, we have to look at it this way. Yes, it works for burning body fat, but really what you're looking at is you're taking in less carbs on the days that you're not necessarily exercising. So a lot of people do carb cycling like that. So for example, on the days you exercise, you may have an additional 30 to 40 grams of carbs. It depends on the person. It could be anywhere from 20 to 100 grams of carbs. It really depends on the person. So, that was your last question. How often should it be done? Well, for starters, you could do carb cycling and higher carbs on just your hard resistance training days. Maybe that's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And the other days are then moderate to lower carb. I don't ever use that in my practice. I've never needed to. So sure, before I would do all sorts of different things with weight training and bodybuilding, but for general overall health and helping people get lean, I've just never, ever needed to do carb cycling. I just don't. I can't recommend enough doing the 7, 14, or 21-day detox, losing the weight that you want the healthy way, decreasing inflammation, balancing hormones, revolutionizing and rebuilding the metabolism, and then slowly beginning to increase your carbs until you find your carb tolerance. And that carb tolerance will actually increase in time, typically after the 4 to 6 month mark, after you've regenerated new red blood cells with different cell membranes that are now more optimized to be able to listen to the cries of insulin to allow those cells to unlock and get glucose in. That's the truth. So hopefully that was helpful, Aubrey. That was a great question. I do appreciate you writing in, and hopefully that was some insight. And then you can check out a podcast interview that I did as well with Amanda Tress on this podcast. So check back out at stevencabral.com/podcast. And that show was on, I'm going to find you that one. So let's see if we can find that interview with Amanda. It is 11/26 if you want to check out that show we did on carb cycling and some of that. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Always a pleasure to be able to chat with you on the weekend. As always, if this show is helpful, please do feel free to pass this information on to anyone it could serve. And be sure to tune in tomorrow where we answer more of our community house calls. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stevencabral.com/courses.